Hello, and welcome to the Mystic Feminine Fertility Podcast, a space for heart-centered conversations about menstrual cycles, fertility, and divine feminine energy. My name is Annalise Yagyagjoti, and I am your host, your guide here. I am a reproductive health practitioner who specializes in cycle tracking and fertility optimization. This podcast is brought to you by my free online membership, Mystic Cycle Sisterhood, which is a chock-full resource online of PDFs and videos, and there's a Telegram group and so many beautiful things to help you connect to your cycle, connect to other women, and it's all for free. Without further ado, let's jump into today's interview. Hello. And thank you for joining me for a very special solo episode today, where we're going to talk about stress. So I find myself oftentimes, I work with clients who are wanting to get pregnant. I work with clients who are not wanting to get pregnant. I work with clients who are suffering with their cycles. They're in pain. They're having some sort of symptoms of PMS, irregular cycles, different things going on. And across the board, one of the things that I find myself recommending is to reduce stress. And this in and of itself, it's an important thing to keep in mind, but it can also be kind of unhelpful just to say reduce stress. Because most people who are stressed know that they are stressed. That's not the issue. It's not like they are wanting to be stressed. And so it can be a helpful reminder that, your stress levels do impact your body. But today we're also going to talk about some helpful tips for reducing stress, and then the flip side or the counterpart of increasing stress resiliency. Before I get into that, let's talk about how stress impacts your fertility and your menstrual cycle. So there is a theory called the pregnenolone steal, in which when you are under stress, your body will literally take progesterone and turn it into other chemicals, hormones, to help you get out of that stressful situation. So your body literally takes resources from progesterone. And so oftentimes, what we see when someone is under extreme stress, this can be, they're either not ovulating, or they're ovulating quite late and having very long or irregular cycles. Sometimes people will have a very short luteal phase, especially with that low progesterone or the pregnenolone steal going on. The luteal phase can become a lot shorter than 10 days, which is not ideal. And increased stress also increases inflammation, cortisol levels, and can lead to more period pain, more irregularity, more PMS symptoms, and all these across the board. So if you're someone who's trying to heal your cycles, that's not great. If you're someone who is trying to get pregnant, that's not great. And if you are someone who's not trying to get pregnant, it's still not great. So stress across the board can have some negative impacts on the cycle. But you can't just live a life without stress. So I actually did an experiment when I was younger after doing my first yoga teacher training, where I tried to remove every single stressor from my life. I quit my job. I moved back with my parents. So I wouldn't have to pay rent. I did all sorts of things, and I'd wake up in the morning and I'd say, how can I have a completely stress-free day? And it didn't work. Because even on lovely days, there are going to be stresses from time to time. And the more that I kind of babied my nervous system, I saw my stress resiliency, or my ability to handle and bounce back from stress, decrease dramatically. So things that used to not be so challenging, like driving my car, suddenly became the biggest stress of my day. So I think there's something to be said, yes, reducing stress when possible. Add in some self-care. If you're pushing yourself too hard. It's helpful to have things built into your routine that help you to de-stress, like walks in nature, time with loved ones, any sort of self-care, long bubble baths, face masks, gua sha, whatever works for you. time with loved ones, movement, different types of things. But I also want to bring into this conversation the idea of stress resiliency and even therapeutic stress. So, stress resiliency is your ability to handle stresses and to bounce back after them. And we can build stress resiliency through different practices, different breathing practices, movement practices, mindfulness practices. This idea of therapeutic stress comes from yogic traditions and the philosophy of applying some sort of pressure and then training the body to stay calm and regulated in that time. So in my classes, we often do this in a balance posture. Like you're on one leg, the other leg is lifted, and then you find some sort of a challenge point. So oftentimes this can be trying to close your eyes and stay balanced on one leg. Closing your eyes makes the balance a little bit harder. And so notice when you're balancing, do you hold your breath? The tendency is to hold your breath, to clench your shoulders, to clench your face, because you're concentrating. But can you actually bring your body into a state of challenge and then come back to soft, steady breath? And so we do this in every single yoga class that I teach, aside from restorative, where we're laying on the floor, or yin. There's a balancing aspect, because balance requires all of your energy to be focused on that one thing. You can bring yourself into that state of challenge by either lifting the gaze, closing the eyes, or sometimes even just eyes open, depending on the balance and depending on your nervous system. Just any balance can do that already, where your body goes into that state of, ooh. Can you practice bringing yourself into a state of calm during challenge, training your nervous system that you can stay calm in challenging situations and that you are capable of doing hard things? Because you are. We are capable of handling stress, at least a certain amount of it. Our body is designed to do that. So stress isn't always a bad thing. It's that we live in an overstressed society where we are pushing ourselves too hard. Most of us are. And that's the reality. So coming into practices that both support decreasing stress and then other practices that help to increase your resiliency. Movement is phenomenal for this. So a more active yoga class, a run, weightlifting, breath work. So conscious awareness of the breath, deep belly breathing can be great. Or if you are someone who is comfortable and not currently pregnant, with holding your breath. Retention can be a great practice, like box breathing, where you inhale for a certain number, normally around 4. You hold the breath for that same number. You exhale for that number. You stay empty for that number. And you begin again and again and again. So this inhale, the hold, the exhale, the hold. Playing with those sensations of holding breath full and holding breath empty, because this creates therapeutic stress in the body, making sure that you're not clenching, calming the face, calming the shoulders, calming your mind. And of course, if this sends you into a state of anxiety, you can lessen that hold. It can be just a second or two as you're building up. There's no need to go through a traumatic event or to induce severe trauma in the body in the name of trying to create therapeutic stress. That's different. With this concept of trauma too, trauma is a word that comes up a lot in my work, both as a yoga teacher and as a fertility awareness educator. Trauma isn't so much the event that happened to you, but it's how your body responded to it. The skills and tools and spaciousness in your nervous system that you had at the time of the trauma and how that impacted you. So we will not be able to fully reduce stress or fully eliminate stress from our lives. We won't be able to fully eliminate trauma from our lives. But we can reduce our stress levels and increase our stress resiliency. And all of this, both of this, comes together to support a more robust, healthy body and menstrual cycle, whether your goals are to get pregnant or to not, whether you're having painful, irregular periods or not. Stress is both a common part of life, something that we've gone a little bit excessive with, something that can be viewed in a positive light, but something that you need to be aware of day to day. So this is where we come into this nervous system conversation of, what do I need today? Do I need a little bit of challenge, a little bit of upregulation? Am I feeling sluggish and unmotivated and tired? Now there's a gentle line here because sometimes when we're tired, we need rest. And sometimes when we are tired and we're having trouble getting started, we need to up level. So you will get to know your nervous system over time. It also depends on the time of day. If you're just waking up, just getting out of bed, you might not want to go lay on the floor for a bit for a restorative yoga class because that might put you to bed. You might need to upregulate, come into an active class, go for a walk outside, take a cold shower, explore. Do I need more or do I need less? And knowing that you can shift and change. And also looking at context. Have you been pushing yourself really hard that week? Maybe now it's a time to soften. Have you been giving yourself a lot of softness for the last month? And now you're feeling ready to get back into a more active state. We have options to increase, to decrease, to find what we need in each given moment. So in summary, stress is a natural part of life. Our bodies are designed to handle and adapt to and thrive under a certain amount of stress. Most of us are overstressed and we need to bring down those stress levels, reduce stressors where we can, but then also incorporate more practices to increase stress resiliency in our bodies, our minds, and spirits. So before I close out this episode, I want to guide you through a stress resiliency building practice, which is also a stress reduction practice. This one acts as both. And it's anulom-vilom, or alternate nostril breathing. So if you are in a space where you can come to a seat, if you're driving or walking or doing something active, washing the dishes, whatever, maybe pause this, come back to it at a later time. But if you're in a space where you can come to a seat, I encourage you to do so. Start by softening or closing your eyes. Taking a few deep breaths. Breathing into your belly. Breathing into your hips. Even breathing into your low back, feeling the skin of the low back expand. With each inhale, your body takes up more space. As you exhale, you soften. Take your right hand. You're going to fold the pointer finger and the middle finger in towards the center of the palm. So your thumb, your ring finger, and your pinky finger are all still extended. Bring the palm of your hand in towards your body. And we're going to be using a count for this breath. I'll be guiding you through it, but please know that if I am counting too slowly, or too quickly or slowly, that you can shift and change and breathe on your own. So you're going to cover up the right nostril with your thumb and begin to breathe in through the left. Cover up your left nostril with your ring finger and exhale out the right nostril. Keep your hands as they are. Inhale right. Cover the right nostril. Exhale out the left. Inhale left for 3, 2, and 1. Switch. Exhale right. 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 3, 2, 1. Switch. Exhale left. 3, 2, 1. Inhale left. 3, 2, 1. Switch. Exhale right. 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 3, 2, 1. Switch. Exhale left. 3, 2, 1. Continue on your own. Keeping with this same number count, or even coming to a count of 2 or 4 or 5. Notice where breath is moving your body. If it's in your shoulders, your chest, or your belly. And try to guide the breath down into your belly. The inhales and exhales are silent or soft. Relax the muscles of your face. And if you would like to add in retention here, if you can do so without creating unnecessary stress in the body. At the top of the inhale, you'll hold the breath, maybe for 1, for 2, for 3. If you'd like to add in the retention at the bottom of the exhale, you can do that as well. You're also welcome to continue with just the simple, slow inhale and exhale from each nostril. We'll be here for 1 minute. Next time you exhale out your left nostril, let your hands come down and your breathing return to normal. Slow and steady in and out through both nostrils. As you feel ready, you can begin to blink the eyes back open. Taking in the space around you, glance around, reorient your nervous system to the space that you're in. I hope that the information and the practices shared today have been supportive for you and your journey. If you're looking to gain more information, insight, tools, and practices into embodiment, nervous system regulation, and fertility, I highly, highly encourage you to join my free online membership, Mystic Cycles Sisterhood, with videos, yoga classes, meditations, PDFs, ebooks, lots of beautiful, all free resources available to you. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and I hope that you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Mystic Feminine Fertility Podcast. And if you want to learn more about cycle tracking, divine feminine energy, and connecting to the goddess within, you're very welcome to visit mysticfemininefertility.com or check me out on Instagram or TikTok. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much for spending time with me.